Hello and welcome to the Hash Rugby Chat Mosh. No, we're not moshing at all. Mock Rugby World Cup 2019. I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and yes, we are going to go run through the Rugby World Cup 2019. It's going to be in Japan. We're going to run through every single game, give you our predictions, and let you know how we see things panning out. We will go through all the groups, then how we think the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final will go as well. So, looking forward to that. And you know what? If it was just me, that'd be kind of boring because there'd be no arguments. So, you know what? I've brought in the one, the only, Ashwin. How you doing, sir? What? What? You've got glasses now.
Banana.
Banana.
This is like, I hope I haven't got you into more broadcasting trouble there with copyright issues there. But an all-black minion.
An all-black minion, yes we do. Yes, you are my minion. That's the whole point.
No, it's just like, I think my wife found some old clothes and gave it to my son and says, "Oh, go put this on one of your beers." And he put it on the minion and then showed me. And we both laughed. We roared with laughter.
Roared with laughter. So yes, and it's great. So thank you, everyone who's live here with us. We have people from New Zealand, South Africa, and I'm guessing the UK as well. So thank you everyone who has joined in and is joining in the chat. We have chat on Facebook and also on Periscope so far, but we're also live on YouTube. We're also live on Twitter as well. So hello guys. There we go. And Mr. Rugby World Cup says he'll take 3 minions. There we go. I just have the one. Oh, dearie me. So, thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, this is I'm really looking forward to this one because, hey, I do a lot of predictions, but I very, very rarely try and predict a whole tournament in one go. And I definitely don't do it a year beforehand either. So let's kick off with this then. So what we're going to do is we'll go through each pool, each group one at a time. So start off with Pool A. We have Ireland, Scotland, Japan, Russia, and Samoa. With the old fun and games that's been happening in Europe, this has ended up being a slightly easier, kind of pool for them. And Shane might be joining as well, so let me just see if I can get him into this. I thought I'd invite him already. Shane, if you're watching, join in on the Skype thing. I've sent you a message. You should be able to join the group. This one's slightly easier because obviously Romania got themselves turfed out for ineligible players, which meant that Russia has got into their slot instead. So Russia, who are ranked 19th in the world compared to Romania at 17th. So slightly easier pool for the other sides there. And the reason that I'm going to say this is because we'll talk about this again later. But the average world ranking as of today, or yesterday, I think I did this, for Pool A is 10.8, which makes it the third, hardest, or the third. The third strongest of the three pools, third weakest or second weakest. Anyway, Archie, have you got the spreadsheet there?
Yep, I've got it in front of me.
Cool. Do you want to kick off with the first couple of games? I think we're on the same page while I try and bring Shane in.
Okay. Into the thing. Okay, and we'll just have a short ad break. And the Mock Rugby World Cup is brought to you in conjunction with Heineken, the official beer of the Mock Rugby World Cup. This is coincidental. I had some Heinekens in the fridge. But, as Paul says, the spreadsheet. So, we're starting off with Pool A, obviously, as Paul's mentioned. In the pool of Pool A, we have, as I think Paul's alluded to, Japan, Ireland, Russia, Samoa, Scotland, and who am I missing? Ireland. So there we go. So that's who's making up Pool A. Game there, but I think it's as Paul's alluded to again, the third weakest, third strongest, depending on which way, if your glass is half empty or your glass is half full. pool. So I suppose should we get into the games?
Yes,
there,
get into the game. That's what I said. Go. You start off the game.
The first game is first. Stop waffling. Stop waffling. The first game is Japan versus Russia, and I think we've both sort of Paul and myself have both picked it in the same way. We're not really seeing that much. I mean, it'll be a good warm-up game for Japan against Russia. Obviously, Vladimir will give them a message before the first game, and Russia will come out strong for 20 minutes. But Japan will probably run over the top of them quite easily in that one. Any thoughts you'd like to add there, Paul?
No, I mean, look, Japan are in the top 12. Japan's probably the strongest tier 2 nation in around, so it's not surprising that they'll beat Russia quite comfortably, I would have thought.
Yep, and it's a good game for the Japanese crowd to sort of like get in behind the tournament, being the first game of the tournament, Japan to get a nice win there, comfortable win. It will be interesting to see. Obviously, I don't think many of us, if any of us, have seen Russian team play. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table. But, not expecting any surprise results out of that one at all.
Yeah, no. We've seen them play sevens, but not seen them play 15s much. I think we're going to decent pack at the tier 2 level, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, it'll probably be the sort of Georgia type thing with a decent big pack with backs that can't really do too much.
But not as good.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, and that will be the first sort of real contest in the tournament on the second day of the tournament, third day I should say, because there's a rest day by the look. Oh no, it'll be in another pool game from another pool. But on the 22nd is Ireland versus Scotland, first matchup from the Six Nations.
Yep, and let's be honest, Ireland, second best team in the world currently, ranked wise, compared to Scotland, who are definitely a side on the up, who are ranked 6th. You've got to say that Ireland are going to take this, are hot favourites for this one.
Yep. Not out of the realms of possibility that Scotland could cause an upset, but we don't expect them to. And we've both gone Ireland on that one.
Yep.
Now the first short turnaround game that pops up in that pool, and that's Russia backing up against their game against Japan and coming up against Samoa.
And you've got to say, this is
obviously
harsh. A 4-day turnaround for a tier 2 nation. They're 2 games that they're going to be most competitive in against Japan and Samoa, and they have to do the second one after 4 days. Really is a nightmare for Russia, and you've got to say Samoa will take this one comfortably because of that. Otherwise, it could have been a bit of fun, but it's not going to be.
Yeah, the only thing is that, I mean, and again, I don't think this will change the result at all, but it's always an interesting one with the island teams, your Samoas and the Fijis, your Tongas, is that what players they'll have at their disposal. What players will have miraculous injuries which preclude them from the tournament. So yeah, I mean, as I said, that will be the first sort of time we get to see how good that Samoa team is, because I think we're all in agreement that Samoa, Tonga, and definitely Fiji can be very powerful teams if they have all their players available to them. So, but waffling on again as I always do.
They can be.
Russia,
if we just have a quick look at the and talk about that since you brought it up. But you got Samoa there who are up against Ireland and Scotland, and also Japan who are the best tier 2 nation around, probably. They're higher ranked. Fiji's the only one that's ranked higher than them. And then you look at Tonga, who have ended up getting England, France, and Argentina. I mean, they've got an absolute hospital pass there. And then Fiji have got Australia and Wales, and then also Georgia. They're not. The pools haven't fallen nicely for any of them to really make a big upset, I don't think.
No. It's yeah. And again, as I said, it will come down to what cattle they have at their disposal. So, moving on to the next game after we've picked Samoa to beat Russia is Japan versus Ireland, and the first challenge for the host nation. looking to do what they did to South Africa in 2015. What are their chances, Paul?
Against Ireland, pretty slim. I mean, we're talking about second best team in the world. South Africa were not the second best team in the world at the time when Argentina took them out. When Japan beat them. So you got to say, yeah, this is it's hard to look past Ireland in this one.
Yeah, and we've both gone with Ireland to take that one out. I'm suspecting because they're playing at home that Japan might hang in there for about 50 or 60 minutes before Ireland run away with it. And the crowd, depending on how close they are, the crowd might keep them in the game a bit longer. But ultimately, Ireland will prevail. Then I suppose we come to the first contestable result in terms of between Paul and myself. Scotland versus Samoa. Now, as I say, I think it's, it will come down hugely to who Samoa has available to them. A lot of players in European competitions that in the past have had sort of mystery ailments that have just come around World Cup time, so that could lead to a few question marks. But Scotland versus Samoa. You're picking Scotland, Paul. I'm picking Samoa. Your rationale.
Far too much that Heineken, mate. Sorry, but Samoa got a 6-day turnaround. Scotland have got an 8-day turnaround. Scotland will Samoa down in 16th, Scotland in 6th overall. You've got to say that Samoa, the schedule hasn't fallen in a way that they can upset Scotland. So this is unfortunately, and this is a Scotland win.
Yeah, but do the ratings and the rankings, the IRB rankings, sort of like a bit misleading, especially for the Pacific Island teams, because when they're playing a lot of their games outside of World Cup in particular, they don't get all the players that they want available to them for those tours. So when they're playing their Northern Hemisphere tours, they've got definitely weakened teams and the results don't necessarily go their way. And if they had everybody available, then they might win the odd one against their home nations, especially the likes of a Scotland. So
okay, I kind of get that, but they've come in beneath. They lost out to Fiji and Tonga. They're the third ranked team to come in for the for qualification. So I'm sorry, but yeah, no, they're the weakest of the three Pacific Island nations, and and they're not going to get over Scotland.
I'm sort of thinking if a lot of it for me comes down to whether Samoa can get some sort of momentum early on, because they can feed off that early success in a game. And one of the things that used to happen in the past is that the fitness levels definitely used to fall away. But now every Samoan player is playing professional rugby. Their fitness levels are up there as well. So if they can get a sniff, I'm sort of picking a bit of an upset there.
Yep. There is potential for one, but I say very unlikely. I don't think so.
Yep.
Rattle through the next one, because it's even though Ireland got a short turnaround, 5-day turnaround, they will quite happily beat Russia. There's not much for us to talk about on that one.
That'll basically be a training run for the reserves.
Absolutely. Training run for the reserves to give their guys, make sure they get some game time. Then we have Japan versus Samoa. Again, Samoa got a 5-day turnaround for this one from the Scotland game. Japan, a 7-day one, they'll be more rested. The whole schedule is not falling right for Samoa in this one. So again, I think we've both gone for Japan, but again, this is another one that could go either way. But I say the schedule is not helping the Pacific Islanders.
I think the hometown advantage will help Japan as well.
Yep.
It's their tournament. They'll be up for it. So yeah, there's a lot of, as you say, a lot of factors, turnaround time, hometown advantage, all going in Japan's favour, that one.
Scotland will beat Russia as well. I mean, Russia are basically here just to make up the numbers. Let's be honest. In this competition, their chances are in those first two games over Japan and Samoa. I'm not sure there's anything else really to say.
It's a shame. it's a shame the way that they've got there, really. I mean, it would have been good to see Romania would have given a bit more bones to that pool.
Yeah, they would have done. Absolutely. Would have made it a bit more competitive. But again, I think Romania would have also, would have come down to those first two games against Japan and Samoa, and that short turnaround that they would have got would have ruined the tournament for them, unfortunately. Ireland v Samoa. I mean, Ireland is a very, very good side. The biggest concern for them at this stage will be just before the knockout stages of competition and injuries, really.
Injuries, and one thing in that game is interesting you point out injuries, because I was going to say one thing Samoa will be going in there is to make sure that Ireland know that they're on the paddock. There'll be some big hits going into that game. Samoa will start very strong in that game, and the way they'll start strong in that game is by bringing a very I keep using the same word over and over again, but very strong physical presence to that game. So Ireland will notice that they're in the game very early on. But they'll be too strong with them.
Exactly. And the final game. Now this is an interesting one, and we have disagreed on this one. Japan versus Scotland. Scotland on a 4-day turnaround, but they'll basically be able to put out a second team against Russia and still beat them. So I'm not sure how much the 4-day turnaround really matters on this one. But Japan-Scotland will be a cracker.
Well, it's interesting. I think we talked about with previous World Cups is that short turnarounds don't affect top tier nations as much as they do the bottom tier nations. But look, it'll be interesting. It'll come down a lot to this in terms of where the teams are on the table as well, and in terms of what chances that they have for progression. Scotland, one of the things for me for Scotland is that they don't necessarily perform as well as it's that Braveheart mentality that the Scots have. When they're playing against the harder nations, the top tier nations, they seem to put in a better effort than when they're playing lower tier nations. So, that's why I've sort of given Japan the nod in terms of they've got that opportunity, and I think they'll give it a shot. That'll be their opportunity possibly to progress as a host nation into, the knockout stage of the competition, and might just lift them. And that's why I'm sort of like, and to sort of make it give us a bit of a talking point as well. Otherwise, we'll just be agreeing all night, eh?
Scotland did come unstuck against the USA during the June tour, but during that one, Scotland did rest a lot of players for this summer tour, I think this will be the end of the road for Japan.
Cherry blossoms,
but again. When we've got to remember what happened to Ireland in the last Rugby World Cup when they came into the quarterfinals against Argentina, and injuries impacted them. Scotland again, similarly like Ireland. I mean, Ireland have been building depth, but Scotland, similarly like Ireland last time, are thin on the ground, and again their injuries will, their fitness and injuries will be the main thing they'll be worrying about at this point, I think, to get them through. Rugby Saracens. Russia's success might hinge on whether they can slip any dodgy perfume into the opposition dressing room. Maybe referencing some poisoning cases that allegedly may or may not have happened in the UK via Russian agents who were looking at various cathedrals along the way.
Well, yes, exactly. So, it says it depends how much Vladimir wants it.
Yes. So, according to your predictions, you would get Ireland both of us think Ireland will top it. I think you're coming down, so it's going to come down to sort of bonus points and stuff as to whether Japan or Samoa would come through. I think you're wrong in both cases, so I put Scotland through for our quarter-final discussions.
It's all right. It's your show, your bat and ball. You take it home.
And when we get to because of who Scotland will be facing that quarterfinals, it really is irrelevant as to who goes through. But so we won't. We won't argue about it too much.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point dwelling on that major one.
But we'll get onto that later. So moving on to Pool B. Now this is a kind of an interesting one. This is the easiest pool of all, even though it has the All Blacks and the Springboks in it. Basically, the other three teams are, yes, good luck. Now, this is where Italy
Making up the numbers.
Yeah, they're making up numbers. But this is where Italy gets basically a free ride. Italy here, ranked 14th in the world, are going to come up against Namibia, ranked 22nd, and the repechage winner, which will either be which is basically Canada, Hong Kong, Germany, or Kenya. So it's basically going to be either Canada or potentially Hong Kong. So Hong Kong are actually ranked 21 in the world and Canada 23. So we'll see how the repechage plays out. But effectively, the fourth and fifth place here are both in the 20s. We compare that to Pool A, where we've got 19th and 16th. Pool C, 12th and 15th, or Pool D, 10th and 18th. You can see that Italy really have got a free ride, and if they were in any other pool, would be in serious danger of not making the top three and not making automatic qualification for the next Rugby World Cup. So, not that we're suggesting in any way that any of these pools and the selections have been rigged at all. It is rather coincidental that the Pacific Islands have all been given a bit of a rough ride of it, and Italy have got a very, very smooth ride of it. But anyway.
But it's all done by the draw of the rugby ball.
Totally. And as I say, there is no way this could have been in any way done appropriately to make sure that the right teams make it into the right 12 teams make it in for TV revenue for the next Rugby World Cup, wherever that might in France.
France.
Yep.
France. Europe somewhere
anyway. New Zealand ranked obviously 1 in the world. South Africa ranked 5. Italy ranked 14.
Is there any point talking about it? I think the result's pretty obvious. We just move on.
We're going to move on to the whole pool. Namibia 22nd in that repechage team. So, basically, this pool gets decided in game 1, which is the All Blacks versus the Springboks, and then the rest of the pool, as you say, doesn't really matter. We will run through it, but it doesn't really matter. I think we've both gone All Blacks winning that, but as we've seen over the Rugby Championship, that is going to be an interesting game.
And that's what makes this our sort of crystal ball gazing a little bit of fun and so far out, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of water to run under that bridge. The South Africans, whether they carry on building, because let's face it, they've done well in that Rugby Championship, but if they're static and think that that's good enough, then that'll be an easy win there for the first round for the All Blacks. But if they keep that momentum and keep improving, that clash is a big clash as the first round Pool B game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
it'll be a certainty for the All Blacks.
Yeah, we're both going All Blacks because it's very difficult to go anyone else. But that'll be a key clash. Then after that, Italy face Namibia, which should be an Italy win. Italy on a 4-day turnaround, then get the repechage winner. So there is potential for an upset here if Canada or Hong Kong get themselves off to a fantastic start. But again, we think Italy will probably get through that one okay.
But the thing is that, so if we look at Canada making it as the repechage winner, the Canada sides in the past have actually been sort of pretty decent. What's gone wrong? Or is there the possibility come World Cup that they have, again, players playing around the world that are available, means that they are actually be able to put up a decent competitive side? Because if they are, then Italy on a 4-day turnaround playing a Canadian team, you're still picking Italy to win, but there's still a bit more in it.
Okay, so basically, the Canada are having administration issues, and
right,
which is what's caused their decline in the 15s. Now, if they get through the repechage, there is one big factor that actually plays in their favour, and that is that next year in Major League Rugby they are going to have the Ontario Arrows. So for the first time ever, Canada are going to have a professional rugby team playing in a competition, which means that for the first time ever they'll probably be able to pick a squad that is entirely professional rather than amateurs, which means that all their conditioning and all of their fitness will be much improved. And as we've seen with that happened with the USA when they played Scotland, that means they can play deeper into the game and they can be competitive much deeper. So that is the only thing that that is a positive for them, is that if they get through the repechage, which is happening in a month or so, then they have then they could turn up to Rugby World Cup with an improved team because of that, even though the Canadian Rugby Union is a bit of a basket case at the moment. And
bottle of chips.
Mr. Bull Hale, thank you for the lovely comment on the hat. Obviously, I'm rocking the new hat. For those of you that here's a before and an after, so you can see the difference. So those of you on the podcast, I've got a new hat, and it's not quite as faded as the old one. So yes, that's one of the few games that's worth talking about in this one. South Africa will beat Namibia. New Zealand will beat Canada or the Repechage or Hong Kong, wherever that is. I can't see South Africa slipping up against Italy. They have done in the past, but they shouldn't do in this game. In this,
it's not going to be the Japan.
I'm running through these because we're running late, by the way. New Zealand will then beat Namibia. South Africa will beat the Repechage winner. New Zealand will beat Italy, and we then have that Namibia versus Repechage winner at the end. Which, if Italy has been upset in that second game, this one could be interesting, because it could mean that Italy don't finish in the top three. But we've both gone
chances are unlikely.
And I've got a funny feeling that Namibia will lose that one, but that'll be a very competitive game. So you didn't put any names down because you hadn't got it. You weren't really kind of sure, were you, on that one?
Oh, Namibia Repechage. Yeah, no, there'd be Canada for that. Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
So basically, we're expecting this to be All Blacks top, Springboks second, and the other three a long way behind.
Daylight,
second. Yes.
Third.
So that's
moving right along. Pool C.
Pool C. Now this is the pool of death. England ranked number 4 in the world currently. France 8, Argentina 9, the United States 15, and Tonga 12. That gives this pool an average of 9.6 world ranking, which makes it the lowest, or the lowest number. So that the strongest side, or the strongest pool. The weakest pool was Pool B with 12.6 as an average. So this is the strongest pool. You've got to feel sorry here for basically the United States and Tonga, because in other pools they could have potentially caused caused some damage. But in this pool, I think they're going to struggle, especially the way that the pool pans out. So we start off with France versus Argentina. Now, we've both gone for Argentina because, and the way that Mario Desma's improved things, things are looking on the up for them towards the Rugby World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And look, at the end of the day, there's only one concern for the Argentinians, and there's a bit of irony in that concern. It's their scrum, basically. They need to. The scrum hasn't been giving them the platform that it has in the years gone by, and there's a long time years gone by as well. And that could be a Achilles heel for them in a game like this. I don't think there'll be a lot in it, and so if it comes down to a crucial moment and it's their scrum that's failing, it could swing to France. In saying that, we're both gone with Argentina, and sort of, so it's basically Argentina's to lose, but it's not a given, I suppose, to Argentina, and there's a couple of areas that they need to tidy up.
Yep, there are. We then back that up with England versus Tonga. We both expect England to win that one there. And then England have a 4-day turnaround before they face the United States, which, as I say, it's a bit unfortunate for the States because by then, the United States did beat they beat Scotland by a single point, and it did involve the last kick of the game in the summer, June. They will have a second year of Major League Rugby, so a second year of professionalism. Their players will be fitter, will be better conditioned, So they will definitely be a better side coming into this Rugby World, or the best the USA side has ever been going into Rugby World Cup. Even so, and looking at the state of disarray that England's in now, and if John Mitchell and Eddie Jones are clashing heads, there is a possibility, in all honesty, says says the glass half empty Englishman. Or in fact, actually, I'll rephrase that. The glass entirely empty Englishman. If you just pour me a beer into there, please, Archie, that'd be great. But yeah, so we've both gone for England for that one.
Absolutely. Look, the interesting thing there, and it's happening again for England a year or so out from the World Cup, is injuries. You talked about Ireland injuries. England injuries is really, I mean, how far out from the World Cup, and you've got the two Vunipola brothers injured again. So that's the risk. That's the thing for them with the short turnaround as well.
Yeah, they'll be looking at resting players for this one, certainly, or for one of those two games. Argentina then face Tonga, and we expect Argentina to win that one.
Yep.
France played the USA. France had 11 days, USA 6 days. So we expect France to comfortably win there. We then have a bit of a disagreement here. This is perhaps heart over head. I've gone for England beating Argentina. You've gone the other way.
Yeah, Battle of the Falklands. I suppose it really, look, I'm basing that purely on the way that England's tracking. If England do turn around and are able to get back to where they were, or even halfway to where they were sort of a year ago, then obviously that result turns around as well. But if you base it on current form, you'd be going Argentina, I think.
So that's what I've actually chosen for when we come to the quarterfinals. I've gone with your pick rather than mine on that one. France then on a 4-day turnaround against Tonga, but they've played the USA before. They should be able to juggle their resources, and they should beat Tonga there.
Yep.
And the Argentina on a 4-day turnaround against the United States. So this one, the USA on a 7-day day up to here. Argentina have had to put out their full strength side against England. Coming up, we know that Argentina don't have the depth of England because they've got one professional team to pick from. They will be picking their European stars as well. But even so, so this is another one where we could this could be the Japan South Africa ambush.
It absolutely could be, and you're so right. And the fact is, the depth's not there necessarily with the Pumas. And what you were alluding to, I should say, earlier with the England-United States game, is that the United States are a building force in World Rugby, and this will be a great platform for them to really. If I was the United States, I'd be putting the eggs into this basket.
Well, the problem is, do you put them into this basket, or 4 days later, the USA, or on a 4-day turnaround, the USA have to play Tonga. So, which one? The only thing we could see here is actually the USA playing a weakened team against Argentina, so they have a full strength side to play Tonga, and that would be really disappointing.
That would be disappointing. It also comes down to, I think you talked about, automatic qualification to the next World Cup. We haven't even had this one, but we're talking about the World Cup after that, and where they see that. If they're looking to sort of make sure that they've got automatic entry, then they will, they will basically do exactly what you said. They'll probably put a weakened team against Argentina and full strength against Tonga. If they go into it, it's just like, we want to knock over a top tier nation, then they put the eggs into that beating Argentina basket.
Yeah, they do. If they want to have a tier 1 scalp, then they could do that. Yep. We then have England, France. We've both gone with England there, but again, having seen England play France and lose them in the Six Nations recently, this one could go either way. France are one of the most successful Rugby World Cup teams ever, definitely in the Northern Hemisphere. Sure, they haven't won it, but they get further than everyone else generally. But they are a bit of a basket. you never. I hate saying this, but they have become a bit of that what'll turn up. Whereas previously they was poor. At least they're now not. They're better than poor, but they're not. But they're definitely not consistent.
Yep.
And then finally we have that USA Tonga game. It's pretty much irrelevant as far as quarterfinals go. The USA on a 4-day turnaround, so Tonga should take that. But the increasing professionalism in the USA could mean they do take it.
Well, Tonga, their last game, you know how they're going to come out into this game and into this as well. They'll be basically going in there to bring all the physicality that they can, and whatever's left in the tank, they'll be wanting to empty it on the field with some hurt. Not that Michael Jones was Tongan, but his favourite saying, "It's always better to give than to receive."
Absolutely.
One thing. Sorry, I just interrupt. This is like we do this today, and we sort of early next year we do this again, because then the artificial intelligence Autumn International would have been, Six Nation Games been, and that will give us a great view on where teams are at.
So I will just finish this poll up, and then I've got a couple of things to say. The other point that Mr. Rugby World Cup has made is Eddie Jones may have said sayonara by then and left. So who knows if Eddie Jones will still be there running England or not.
Really,
but anyway,
leave them in the lurch before a major competition.
It could happen. Now, a couple of things that we'll be doing up to before the Rugby World Cup is we will redo this one because it's fun. What we'll also do though is there was a saying by Bob Dwyer. And I'll have to go away and check I've got the exact number right. But I think he said something along the lines of, to win the Rugby World Cup, you have to have 5 automatic starters in the World 15. So we will be using the Bob Dwyer method for trying to figure out who can win the Rugby World Cup by selecting a World 15 prior to the Rugby World Cup, and we'll see how many players each side has got in that. In that World 15, and that will give us a good idea as to who can and who can't win the Rugby World Cup as well. We may also do another one, which is where we'll take which is kind of like, what's important? It's the last 20 minutes. So what we might do is another video where we take all the benches for the top teams and just go and say, right, it's irrelevant who your first 15 are. It's your bench that wins and loses games, and see who has got the strongest bench to try and decide who'll win the Rugby World Cup. So we'll do a couple of fun videos like that as kind of as warm-ups to the Rugby World Cup along the way. We may even do them now and repeat them again next year, just because, hey.
Over the summer period, because that's what broadcast companies do.
Exactly. There you go. My company. Oh, that must mean. No, actually, no. Oh, dear. Whoops. Secondly, if you would like me to be a broadcast company, i.e. be full-time, then please become a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/DrivingMaul, and then you can support me by making a monthly pledge, as little as $1 or as much as $1 million. Entirely up to you where you want to be within that range. Obviously, if one of you goes in and gives me $1 million a month, then hey, presto, I don't have to bother with getting with anybody else. But I've got a funny feeling that's probably not going to happen. So, if you'd just like to go in there, there are options to do $1 a month, or you can buy me a chocolate bar, or you can buy me a coffee, or you can buy me a beer a month. Those options are all in there. So Patreon, patreon.com/DrivingMaul. The link is down below in Twitter, or it's my pinned tweet in Twitter. So Pool D.
Yep.
Average ranking of 10.2 makes it the second strongest pool in the competition, with Australia, Wales, Georgia, the unlucky Fiji, and Uruguay. And I say unlucky Fiji because, again, if they were drawn in a pool with Italy, you've got to say they'd be in for a good shot of having automatic qualification for the next Rugby World Cup. But up against Georgia, it's going to be it's going to be fun to see. They're clearly they've got a good chance, but it does make it more difficult.
A backline versus a forward pack, but we'll come to that later.
We will come to that later, yes. So to kick things off, Australia versus Fiji. We've both gone for Australia, but the basket case that Australia is nowadays, this is one that Here is an opportunity for Fiji to get a tier 1 scalp, but it's unlikely.
And I'm sure there'll be some rugby expert out there in the Twitter sphere or interweb that will correct me because I'm wrong, but I believe Fiji ran Australia very close in the previous World Cup when they're able to get, again, another classic case of a South Pacific nation. Once all their players that are playing globally are available to them, they can run out a pretty good side. And I think they actually gave Australia a pretty good tickle up in that previous World Cup. So obviously we've gone with the obvious one right in front of us being Australia, but you know, Fiji, as you said, a chance to tip over a tier 1 nation.
Yep. We then have Wales facing Georgia. Now, Georgia still have never beaten a tier 1 nation, much as everyone keeps saying they should be in the Six Nations. They've never even beaten Italy. They do have a chance though this November, so maybe that will be their first ever tier 1 scalp. We will see. But yes, with Georgia having never beaten a tier 1 nation ever, unlike the USA, which had done back in the Olympics back in 1926 or something. I say Georgia didn't even do it back. Well, Georgia weren't playing back then, to be fair. But yeah, we've both gone for Wales there. Fiji then on a 4-day turnaround playing Uruguay. That is definitely a potential banana skin.
It is, but I mean, well, it's interesting because Uruguay rugby, they're quite a physical nature, which the Fijians are a classic bully type player, aren't they? They like to get aggressive and bash players out the way with ball in hand, not in the tackle, but they don't really feel too comfortable when they start receiving it back. So Uruguay are quite a physical team, not necessarily a skilled team. So if they can get under the skin of the Fijians, they've got the opportunity to sort of tip over a Fiji. But look, you'll hard to see it.
And then you've got to say Fiji have got the short end of the stick here because then Georgia face Uruguay 4 days later. So Georgia get Uruguay on a short turnaround, whereas Fiji get them fresh. And this is part of the thing that I'm saying that why Fiji have got a perhaps been a bit unlucky there. So you expect Georgia to beat Uruguay. And I'm just going to go to the live chat now because there's a couple of things in there that could be quite fun. Mr. Rugby World Cup says we all know Australia always turn up in a Rugby World Cup. Funny enough, he's Australian. And our friend from the YouTube channel Unbiased Rugby, who is on, thanks for joining us. He goes, I wonder if Checker can scream at his players through the entire Rugby World Cup. They may do well then. In reference to the last game against Argentina, where he just screamed at them in half time, and it seemed to suddenly they all got too scared not to play, and suddenly managed to do something. I
just sort of think Alex mentioned the fact that Australia lost to Samoa only a couple of years ago.
And Fiji also beat Wales in the Rugby World Cup previously as well. So that's going to be a fun one. Australia then have an 8-day turnaround before they face Wales. Mr. Rugby World Cup says Fiji could sneak it against Australia if Australia feel a weak side as a warm-up. I can't see Australia doing that because they've got 8 days until they play Wales. So they'll be the full-strength side, getting themselves, getting some mileage, getting rid of the rust before playing Wales, who are on a 6-day turnaround. So both of them on pretty decent turnarounds. We've both gone for Wales. Wales are tracking in the right direction. Australia aren't.
Yep.
Basically.
Just on that Australian front, they are a confidence team, and the fact is that if they do start to just get things to click a bit, they can be a different team. Unfortunately for them at this stage, they're not showing that.
Yep. No, they're not. Then, I mean, I've been talking about how Fiji got a hard life, but then they do get Georgia on a 4-day turnaround. So to be fair, Georgia play Wales 6 days later, or 6-day turnaround to Uruguay, 4-day turnaround to Fiji. So maybe Fiji haven't got such a bad draw, but this is the one that will decide who basically gets automatic qualification for the next Rugby World Cup. This will be the game that Georgia are targeting and the game that Fiji will need to target as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've both gone for Fiji.
Fiji there.
Sorry?
Fiji there. I think as we alluded to when we had our early discussion, it's going to be the Georgian forwards against the Fijian backs. Obviously, the track conditions will actually play quite a major part in that game.
Yeah, and it'll be spring in Japan. So, autumn in Japan. What am I talking about? If it's bucketing down, but they might even have some indoor games because they have some indoor baseball grounds. I'm not quite sure if there's anyway. I'm totally speculating with absolutely zero knowledge. Yay, good way to go. So we'll see how that one pans out. But we're both on Fiji, pretty much irrelevant as far as the quarterfinals go because this will be fighting out for third place. We think.
Yep.
We then expect Australia to comfortably beat Uruguay, both on 6-day turnarounds. Wales then got a 10-day turnaround before they're facing Fiji on a 6-day turnaround. That 10-day turnaround isn't quite the longest one. There's a couple of 11-day turnarounds. The biggest worry there for Wales is basically that they've unconditioned themselves by not playing enough.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, one of the things that does happen in tournaments like these is boredom sets in. If you're not, and so I'm just looking at France has got 11-day, New Zealand's got 11-day. They're the longest ones, but Wales with a 10-day turnaround, that's a big job of the management team to keep those players focused for 10 days off, which sounds easier than it actually is.
And whilst we know that New Zealand will stay focused during 10 days because of their management structure, 11 days, sorry. France, on the other hand, with an 11-day turnaround, could be interesting. So that could be interesting. Who knows? We've then got Australia will beat Georgia. We've said Georgia's never beaten a tier 1 team. And then Wales with a 4-day turnaround before playing Uruguay. But that's Wales will win that one as well. So because we've said that Wales will beat Australia, Wales will top the group and Australia second, which basically means our quarterfinals are. How we ended up with Italy, South Africa? Italy won't come second in that game. Oh dear me, some typos going on here by me. That must.
Does it matter?
Well, who would be
Ireland?
Yes, Ireland, not Italy. So it does matter.
The other I team.
Jeez.
That changes. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm just going through changing everything.
Yeah.
Ireland, South Africa, which just changes everything, as he says. Wales versus England, New Zealand versus Scotland, and Argentina versus Australia. So we expect the 4 Rugby Championship teams to make it through, and 4 from the Six Nations as well. Do you want to change your picks? Yep, we are changing them both together on the fly. So the way that we see this panning out is that you type. We've both gone for Ireland beating South Africa, as we both quickly typed in and changed our and changed it. So Ireland we expect to beat South Africa. Ireland are second in the world for a good reason. The Wales then play England. We've both gone for Wales there. Wales are tracking well. Ireland basically aren't.
England.
New Zealand versus Scotland. Scotland have never beaten New Zealand in over 100 years. Didn't that happen to Ireland recently? Oh, never mind. But still,
Soldier Field against the C team. Soldier Field against the C team.
And then the final one we've said is Argentina, Australia, and we basically disagree on this one. I've gone for Argentina. You've gone for Australia for this one.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. It's again, if you win, well, actually they got a 1-1, haven't they, in the old Rugby Championship? And as I think I can't remember in which one of our forums our Australian counterpart sort of mentioned that if Cheika decides to scream at them all the way through the World Cup, he'll run out of voice, but he'll get them to run over Argentina again, which is what they did in the second half in Argentina. So, yeah, look, the other problem is that the Argentinians will, it's that top, we've talked about this in Rugby Championship so often, the top 2 inches, they lost it at home. How they lost it at home, I don't get, but that is basically sums up the headspace of Argentinian rugby players, or that Latin temperament. So that's why I'm going with Australia, because big occasion, run out there, too emotional. Australia can come in with a steady hand on the tiller and navigate their way through it. You see all those nautical frames?
We probably should spend a little bit more time on that Wales-England one as well. So in the live chat with Christopher Edwards-Bailey reckons England will beat Wales. But Alex has gone for Wales. So there's definitely a mixture in there. Simon Brown has gone Go Georgia. By the way, Georgia, we don't think will make it out the pool stages, Simon. But do enjoy the rugby world. Do enjoy the rugby world.
Where's that flag? Where's that flag? It needs to be like that.
The unbiased rugby is going for South Africa beating Ireland. Now, the great thing about it is once we get to the quarterfinals, clearly all of these games could go either way, with the exception probably of the New Zealand-Scotland one, because, I say, 100 years of history says it won't. But the rest of them all could do that. Wales-England one would be fantastic. Obviously, historically, if we just got to go back to the last Rugby World Cup, where England didn't kick the penalty to draw the game, and Wales knocked them out. So there's all those sorts of fun and games. History, the amount of history around that game is going to be fantastic. But we've both gone for Wales in the end, which means our semi-finals is we have a Six Nations tie of Ireland, Wales, and then we have New Zealand versus either Argentina or Australia. At the end of the day, does it matter? I've put Argentina in there because, hey, it's my show, it's not yours.
It's your betting ball.
So start off with Ireland, Wales then.
Sorry?
Ireland, Wales. So we've both gone for Ireland, haven't we?
We've both gone for Ireland there. I think the thing with the Irish is the fact is that they're playing a style of rugby which is it's giving consistent results. And that's why you sort of, and there's a few key players for them, and if they get injured, then really that'll cause problems for Ireland. But, the reality is if those key players don't get injured, then the game plan that they have is consistent. They know what they're doing. They know what their roles are. Very All Black-like. And they'll execute them against Wales. Wales will basically be trying to change the game plan up, mix and match, and that's what they'll be relying on. And as long as that Irish sort of structure doesn't break up, Wales won't get that look in to be able to crack through and score the points.
Yeah, it's Ireland's side are a good side. I mean, I backed Ireland last at the 2015 Rugby World Cup to make the final. Injuries meant that they came up. That meant they got blitzed by Argentina. This
Can you back them again?
They've definitely done more work on their depth, so they can afford to get a couple of injuries. Last time round, they just they couldn't, and they are still, let's be honest, heavily reliant on Johnny Sexton staying fit. If Johnny Sexton gets injured at some point, then forget it. All bets are off.
Absolutely.
Argentina, obviously. Argentina have never beaten New Zealand. They'll be plucky and all that kind of stuff. Third place, Argentina, Wales. This one, I mean, we saw Argentina go so well in 2015, and then basically come to the third, fourth place playoff and just get absolutely thumped by by South African side that weren't that great. I mean, the South African side lost to Japan earlier in the tournament. So hence that's why we've both gone for Wales here, is because we just think that basically Argentina will just not, as you say, headspace, just not be up for that game.
Absolutely. You but I suppose it's funny, isn't it? Third place, whose headspace is best? Because neither of them are going to be great.
Yep. And hence we're going for a New Zealand Ireland final, which will be 1 versus 2. We're going to get a preview of that in November in Dublin. This won't be in Dublin. This will be in Tokyo. He says, hoping that the final is actually in Tokyo, but it'll be in Japan somewhere. And so yes, we're both confident New Zealand to be back to back Rugby World Cup winners.
Three-peat.
The three-peat, yes.
The three-peat, absolutely. Okay. It's, I suppose the, big factor for both of them is, injuries through the tournament. You go back to 2011, the All Blacks lost, 3 first fives through the tournament, and we ended up with good old Beaver coming off the bench. Does Ireland have the depth? As you said, they've been working on the depth. Doesn't mean that it's actually there when it comes to a World Cup type tournament. And as you've already mentioned, Johnny Sexton, he goes down. That's sort of, you can almost say curtains for Ireland. So, I think at that stage, it's going to be also, hey, look, we don't even know what squads are, but we're talking about how the injury is going to pan out in the tournament. But that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it? This is like who's got the team to put on the paddock to do the job on the day.
Yep, and just to correct myself, apparently the final is in Yokohama, where which apparently literally translates to horizontal beach. I'm not quite sure where vertical beach is, but there you go. So there you go. It's really bad jokes for you at this time.
Just a couple of things through the tournament, and actually I'll point out one of the obvious ones in terms of an All Blacks is that 2011, 2015 when they won the World Cups. Well, in fact, you go back to the ones when we didn't win. The All Blacks have a bad game through the tournament. In 2011, that bad game was actually in the final. In 2015, the bad game was in the semi-final against South Africa. And, a very unlikely South African team were 3 points away from making it to the final.
And once you get knockout rugby, anything could happen.
Yep, it's like the Mickey Mouse Club. Anything can happen day.
Yep.
So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Does New Zealand carry on that pattern of that one bad game per tournament and, that their opposition take that opportunity to tip them up?
We have to see. Well,
we will have to see. Only a year to go.
Only a year to go. And we all can't wait. Thank you, everybody who has joined in tonight. There's been a lot of chat going on. Sorry we couldn't keep up with all of the chat in both Periscope and Twitter and also on YouTube. Those of you who are listening to the podcast, obviously join us live next time at 8 p.m. New Zealand time next week. Mr. Rugby World Cup says the winner's going to be Ireland. Well, we'll see. It would be good for another nation to win it, to be honest. Personally,
after next year.
Pardon?
After next year, it'll be good for another.
After the three-peat.
After the three-peat, exactly.
So thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute cracker. We are going to say goodbye to Ashwin, and up there is a picture that lets you subscribe to the channel, so please do. Down there is a picture to my All Blacks channel, the All Blacks edition, where we'll be live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And over here and down there are 2 videos that I'm absolutely certain you will enjoy. So please do go and have a listen to those as well. Thank you very much for making it to this stage of the show, and good night.